The fillers continue in my review of Naruto Shippuden, episode 307. This little filler adventure continues, and this week a character that we really never ever see at all because he's been dead for a long time does get a little bit of showcase, and that is Hayate Gekko. And if you do not know who he is, he was one of the Chunin proctors from the exam that happened in the first half of the series, and he was the guy who was sort of quietly killed off, and we never really heard from him again. However, he did sort of leave a little bit of an impact on the series because there were some other minor characters that had some things to do with him. In particular, there was that one Anbu Black Ops member by the name of who's that one female character with the purple hair. And she was the lover of Hayate, so you can pretty much see where the friction of this episode is going to come from. But the long and short is, Kabuto decides that he is going to resurrect Hayate again before he goes on with his even bigger plan, and this means that we gotta get a huge flashback. But this is a pretty interesting flashback, to say the least, because when we were first introduced to the character and he was killed off, he was killed by Baki from the sand. Curiously enough, they even reanimate the scene where Gaara kills Dosu from the Sound Village. And, you know, before, again, when we saw that, he just sort of, like, killed him with all of the sand and everything. We didn't really know how he did it. But now that we know he was the Jinchuriki, the One-Tail, they decided, hey, let's just turn him into a monster again and have him kill him. And that's pretty much what happens here. I'd say the most exciting parts of the episode definitely came towards the end when Kabuto finally started to start his plan. You get to see there are these medical tents, everybody's hanging out, Sakura's over there, Yuga is there, and this one Christopher Walken-looking ninja is very curious as to why she's not on the front lines fighting, because she used to be a former Anbu Black Ops member. Obviously, this probably has something to do with Hayate, and it looks like her past is going to be haunting her again, because towards the end of this episode, we get to see they get to have a minor confrontation, and essentially what's going on here is Kabuto is having these other Edo Tensei guys join Hayate and take these dead bodies away, these really powerful ninja. And one thing I just want to note, a lot of the times there have been these filler Edo Tensei characters that don't really have too much, you know, special things about them. And the ones they showed in this episode, there really isn't anything special about them, you know. I mean, there's that one big guy with a huge axe with a really cool face paint that kind of looks like Naruto's original Genin picture. And then there's this other guy who has this weird, like, bird mask, and they don't look like they have anything too special, and they don't really display any, like, crazy powers in this episode. But when they have them fight against some of the other ninja, it is really, really brutal and really intense, especially the way the big guy fights. But it's that little guy with the bird mask. He does this move where he takes out, like, 4 ninja at once. He, like, cuts them up and he's jumping all over them, and he does this really cool move where he jumps up on this guy's head and, like, snaps his neck. And it's so violent and over the top and awesome, and the more I watch this, it just makes me wish they put blood in Toriko. But that's for another video. The long and short is, everybody at the medical tents gets fucked up, and they don't really know how to deal with this situation. Obviously, it looks like this is going to lead in possibly a 2-parter, or maybe even more. We do know that Yuga is going to have some sort of confrontation with her former lover, and that's pretty much the end of the episode. There are a lot of other little details I skipped over, but I really think you guys should check this one out, because it is actually pretty interesting. And I do like that they're able to flesh out the war a little bit more with these fillers. And, you know, I found myself actually kind of enjoying this one. And that's mostly because Hayate is a character who really just sort of gotten thrown away to the wayside. And they used him a little bit in the Chikara arc, and it looks like they're going to try and make him a little bit more important here. And I think it's a pretty decent idea. However, I know we're all really getting excited for the stuff that's going to be happening later, and if you guys didn't realize, this episode had a brand new opening, and I'm going to do a whole separate video about that, but it should definitely pump you up for the things that are getting ready to happen. So this episode, for me, was not perfect. There were some animation flubs here and there, and there were some moments I felt maybe they didn't need to show us again, so it did sort of slow the episode down a bit. But overall, I think this filler side story is pretty interesting, and I think it's something that Naruto fans should definitely check out, and it's definitely a great way to expand the war. So by no means a perfect episode. For me, it's probably a 7 out of 10. It could have been a lot better. But still, it is what it is. I think you guys should still check it out, especially if there's a few Hayate fans. I'm sure there's like 5 of you out there. So that concludes the review of this episode, guys. How did you feel about it? You can let me know with your comments below. Remember, guys, as always, if you like this video, make sure and give it a thumbs up. It really helps these videos out a lot. That concludes this review today. SuperKamiGuru9000, out.